So this is why I watch TNA. In my video, How I Became a Wrestling Fan, I talked a little bit about this. I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth on it. One of the main things is I think WWF, WWE killed Owen Hart in cold-blooded murder. I think that they wanted a publicity stunt to draw attention away from WCW, and that they wanted ratings, and they knew that the media would swarm when Owen Hart died from falling from the rafters. I believe it was cold-blooded murder. Owen Hart fell from the rafters, and he was supposed to be propelling down, and he fell. It's not. There's safety lines. There's supposed to be a backup safety line. None of that happened. He just fell to his death. There was no backup line to make sure he didn't fall. I believe there's too much stuff around the event that led me to believe that Owen was killed in cold-blooded murder. In other things, I like blood in professional wrestling, and WWE's PG, we're so good, we're so goody two shoes. It's just a lie. They've had multiple deaths in there. They don't care about the wrestlers. Wrestlers have lost their mind and killed their families, like Chris Benoit. Wrestlers have died to drug addictions, like Eddie Guerrero. A lot of things have led me to not like WWE because they're a murdering machine, and not so much now since Triple H has taken over. They're more a corporate greed machine, which I think is far better. I'd much rather them be a corporate greed machine than a ruthless aggression machine that doesn't care about human life. Now they only care about money, which still sounds horrible, but it's still better than what it used to be, only caring about anything to get ratings and shock value. And what they did in the 90s was just horrible. The way they treated their wrestlers, the amount of wrestlers that died. I think Kurt Hennig, so many guys died. Uh, Eddie Guerrero really comes to mind. Just tons and tons of talent that was just murdered. They were essentially murdered for the sake of ratings, and it's not right. Um, it's, it's horrible. And in TNA, you didn't have that. They didn't have their first death until Chris Candido died. And that was far into TNA. They were in the Fox Sports Net days when Chris Candido died. And that was not on. He flew on an airplane, and he was advised not to fly on planes. And he got a staph infection, and it killed him. That's not TNA's fault. That was his negligence. He knew he shouldn't fly, and it shouldn't have happened. It sucks that it happened, but it's what it is. So I really, really think that a lot of these things led to me not liking WWE. Plus, I was a WCW fan, and WCW had the NWO, and it was creative, and the storylines seemed realistic storylines. And Kevin Nash jackknife powerbombing his own boss, Eric Bischoff, through the stage. I was hooked. It was the greatest thing I ever seen. And just the storytelling was so much better at WCW. And then I had no interest in WWF, and I didn't transition into a WWE fan like a lot of people did after WCW died. I transitioned into watching TNA Wrestling. I was at the first show in Huntsville, Alabama, and like I said, I talked about some of this on the How I Became a Wrestling Fan video, so I try not to repeat myself as much as possible. But a lot of things lead to me being a TNA fan. Obviously, the X Division is phenomenal. The guys you see in the X Division is phenomenal. And I can't keep saying phenomenal without mentioning AJ Styles. I'll never forget watching him slide under guardrails, his body contorting an Ultimate X match, and the Ultimate X match. Another reason why I watch TNA, the Ultimate X match. There's so much great stuff at TNA. Now that we're getting into an era where they're starting to really get good at storytelling, with Mike Santana winning the World Heavyweight title, his overcoming drugs and overcoming beating his drug problem, defeating his demons. Another great reason why I watch TNA, and the hope that it's going to get better with the new TV deal. That it always seems like there's always a reason to keep watching TNA, and now it's that they're going to get a major TV deal, and things in wrestling are better overall. Like I said, I think WWE is better because they're no longer ran with that murder mentality. They're ran with more of a we care about our talent. And I know it's more because TKO cares more about money, and they know that that's not good business. That's not good for business, and they operate under what's good for business. Sometimes that's not good as a fan because they care about getting a big contract, like their ESPN deal is not really good for fans because it costs fans a lot more money to be a WWE fan. But it's certainly not murdering people. You give fans the option if they want to spend a bunch of money to watch your product. It's definitely not as bad as murdering people. So that's really one of the big reasons why I watch TNA Wrestling and I don't watch WWE. Obviously, AEW sucks. It's horrible. I've done a couple of videos on how I feel about AEW. Um, John Moxley's a drunk, and then they honor him as a top tier talent. His storytelling in AEW sucks, and they do that stupid thing with the fish tank where John Moxley puts Darby Allin's head in a fish tank for 5 seconds and he acts like he's absolutely drowning. You know, although he's climbed Mount Everest, he's clearly not drowning after 5 seconds. The guy's in great physical health, but he can't handle 5 seconds in a fish tank. It's just unbelievable. Stupid storylines, stupid storytelling. AEW sucks. And WWE's better, but I still think it sucks. And I'm a TNA fan, and that's how I became a TNA fan, and that's why I am a TNA fan. Thank you for watching. I'm Ken Jones, and I'm signing off.